After 2 weeks of resting, 2 weeks of no Crimson Tide football, Alabama returns to Bryant-Denny Stadium this weekend on Saturday to take on those Kentucky Wildcats. And you are locked and loaded, people. Brand new week. We're going to get your game week and your work week started right here on the hottest show on the streets, the #1 ticket for Crimson Tide football news. That being in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. As always, I am excited to have everybody tuning into the network and channel on today. The show brought to you by WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That is WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. If you haven't done so already, go ahead right now and copy that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, showing that support for Coach Saban and the University of Alabama football program and its tradition of owning and dominating the fourth quarter. We all know that fourth quarter belongs to the Crimson Tide. So go ahead right now, go to WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com and pick you up that four-finger bling necklace today. We're bringing you the show from Tuscaloosa, streaming this to you via YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, like the show up. Like it up right now. Give a thumbs up on the show. Hit that subscribe button and turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best news, notes, analysis, and coverage on your Crimson Tide. Not only do we have you on YouTube, but all my Facebook people out there streaming to the Facebook family, also streaming to the Twitterverse as well. So we got you on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. No excuse whatsoever for you not to be tuned in to the best football talk when you talk about your Crimson Tide than this show right here. In my own words, we got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of news, big stuff to talk about, dissect, go into. Does Nick Saban make the call to Will Muschamp to be the next defensive analyst at the University of Alabama? Could happen, especially with Muschamp out at South Carolina. Will the Heisman Trophy come down to two SEC quarterbacks when you talk Mac Jones and Kyle Trask? We'll discuss that also. But we want you guys being a part of the conversation, and you can do this by calling 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard here on the show. That's 205-448-1358, and one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you guys on today. It's always a pleasure to be joined in studio by the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro, my man John Ivory in the production studio doing his thing. A little bit later on the show, we'll be joined live by Josh Tolentino, who covers the Miami Dolphins for The Athletic. That is Josh Tolentino, good friend of mine. He's coming on to break down the performance that was Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins win over the LA Chargers. Tua getting the victory over one of his peers in this year's draft class, that being one Justin Herbert, and he's now 3-0 as a starter and has the Dolphins with the opportunity to make the NFL playoffs. But a quick little update here before we jump into topic number one of the conversation, that being, despite the fact that the Tide had 2 weeks off, the Associated Press, the AP poll, and the Amway Coaches poll that is powered by USA Today Sports, both polls still kept Alabama as the #1 team in the country. So despite the fact that Alabama had the bye week after Mississippi State and it did not get a chance to play against LSU due to COVID concerns, a rise in COVID cases, the AP poll and the Amway Coaches poll still had the Crimson Tide the #1 team here in the country. So as we get down now, topic number one of the conversation on tonight's show. And like I mentioned, prior to the bye week, after the state game against the Bulldogs, U.S. fans were very excited. You guys were very proud of the way the Crimson Tide played. You know, offensively, getting that 41 points on the board, defensively, pitching a shutout, the first shutout for Alabama's defense in 2 years, a group that was able to tackle well, cover well, get pressure to the quarterback. There were a lot of good things. And even though the Bulldogs did not have talent, a whole bunch of talent on the field, it was still good for you as traditional Crimson Tide fans to see your team, your defense be able to pitch that type of shutout. And a lot of you guys were like, I knew Bama had it in them. I knew Saban still had it. I knew this team was capable of doing the job. So, you know, you were really happy coming off the state game, going into the bye week, and then you got the bye week to rest up, get some players back healed, get some players back healthy, and then this past week was supposed to have been the LSU game. A lot of people were disappointed with that not happening due to COVID concerns, but it is what it is. Now, the rumored date being thrown out there for the rescheduling of that matchup looks like Saturday, December the 5th. Now, nothing has been set in stone yet, but December the 5th is the rescheduled date being thrown out there for Alabama LSU. So while you guys had 2 weeks of no Alabama football, you guys have been going through withdrawals. You've been wondering, okay, we haven't seen Bama in 2 weeks. What's going on with the program? What's going on with Coach Saban? How the players doing? I need to know, does somebody have information? Does somebody have the 411 on what's going on with this program? I'm going through Alabama football withdrawals. People have no fear now. I've been able to talk with some sources of mine that are very much so well-versed in the Alabama football program, and from gathering information from them these last 2 weeks, of everything I have collected, there are two huge pieces of information gathered here from the sources in question. And one of the big pieces comes from the running back rotation. The other big piece comes from the room at wide receiver. So big update number one, Jase McClellan. Alabama true freshman running back Jase McClellan, the 4-star from Aldo, Texas. I was told that as of last week, in practice, he had emerged. He has emerged as the number 3 running back in the rotation behind Najee Harris and Brian Robinson. He has emerged as the number 3 guy, Jase McClellan. Now, a lot of people, even I myself included, felt like, Roydell Williams would be that guy, and Williams is good. And Williams is talented. This is not to say that Williams is not talented, because he is. I was just told, by sources that last week, it really clicked for McClellan, and he's become the 3rd guy in this rotation behind Harris and Brian Robinson, and he will be the one. McClellan will be the one to see the field a lot this week against the Kentucky Wildcats inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, getting quite the amount of carries here. Now, for some of you, he's just a number 3 back. He's only going to be getting number 3 carries. So is that really good? Is that really something to be excited about? I'm going to tell you why it is something to be excited about, because think of it like this. Brian Robinson was banged up against Mississippi State. He only had 2 carries in that game. And here's a moment for McClellan to not only get number 3 running back carries, but possibly steal some opportunities away from Brian Robinson, and proving that, hey, I should be the number 2 back. Hey, I should be the number 2 guy, because I have something that Brian Robinson does not have. And after losing Keelan Robinson to an opt-out due to COVID concerns prior to the start of the season, Nick Saban talked about how Keelan Robinson was the one guy on the roster that had the speed, the juice, to get up and go. That was Keelan Robinson. When you look at Jase McClellan, and if you study his tape from Aldo High School, he has the same type of burst, juice, explosiveness, and breakaway speed that Keelan had. Probably even a bit more than Keelan. I was talking to some Alabama players today and some sources on the past couple of days, the past couple of weeks here. Jase McClellan has the breakaway speed that no one else on this roster at that position has. And that's a big deal there, especially when you look at McClellan coming out of high school, 4-star guy. He was a 4-time 1,000-yard back, 1,000-plus yard runner out of high school. He ended his career 6,468 career yards, 122 touchdowns on 842 carries. He even doubled as a receiver. You talk about versatility. 28 catches, 429 yards, and 3 scores. As a freshman, he took Aldo High School to the Texas Class 6A Division II state championship, won the title game. He was the MVP of the game as a freshman and took the program back to the state championship game as a senior. So McClellan, pretty much a big deal here. Now, in talking with DJ Dale and Miller Forrestall, DJ Dale, a sophomore defensive lineman, Miller Forrestall, a redshirt junior at tight end, or redshirt senior at tight end, they both said, hey, Jase has stepped up. Hey, Jase is big time. Hey, this dude, he carries himself and he practices and he performs like he's one of the older guys out there. And in terms of just Miller Forrestall, he talked about the one thing that jumps off the tape about McClellan, Jase runs hard. Like, he runs really hard. Like, he's physical. He runs guys over. He finishes plays. He's got tremendous speed. Like, this dude is going to be a special player here. And that's coming from one Miller Forrestall, of whom at the tight end position has blocked for quite the number of running backs in his career. And something interesting, there is a lot of intersecting parallel, things, similarities you can draw from between current Alabama players and former players. The last Alabama running back to come in as a freshman and introduce himself to the world against Kentucky, that was 4 years ago, and it was a guy by the name of Josh Jacobs. We all remember Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs got here in 2016, came late in the 2016 recruiting process. He, a native of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma came at him late in the process, but he chose to come to Alabama. And in the game where you had a banged-up Damian Harris, a banged-up Bo Scarborough, Coach Saban knew what he had in Josh Jacobs, put him out there, and Jacobs 16 carries for 100 yards with 1 touchdown. He caught 3 passes for 44 yards and a 34-6 win over Kentucky that year. Jacobs was Offensive Player of the Week from the coaching staff, SEC Freshman of the Week, and also became a fan favorite, was a national champion, and became a first-round pick. So there are a lot of these similarities here between McClellan and Josh Jacobs. McClellan, much like Jacobs, was an Oklahoma pledge for almost 2 years before he flipped from Oklahoma to Alabama. McClellan came late in the 2020 process, so we're seeing some parallels here. So not saying that McClellan will be the next Josh Jacobs. However, I am saying the playing weight of these two guys similar. Josh Jacobs' playing weight was 5'10", 216 pounds. McClellan's playing weight 5'11", 212. So here's a chance for Jase this weekend to really do his thing against Kentucky. He will get that opportunity. The second big update here coming from the last 2 weeks of practice was one Jaylen Waddle, and Waddle, of whom suffered an ankle injury against Tennessee. First play of the game on the opening kickoff, it was a highly sprained right ankle with a fracture involved, and Coach Saban talked about how he will miss the remainder of the season. Got a chance to speak with a couple of sources I know that are close with the training staff and the team doctors here in the program, and what I was told was Waddle is ahead of schedule when you look at the recovery time for him from the injury and from the surgery. He is expected to have the cast removed from his right leg this week. Now, I wasn't made known the specific day this week, but this week he will get that cast removed from his right leg, and the team doctors are baffled right now because he is way ahead of schedule of where they originally thought he would be at this time. Now, what does this mean? What this means is he'll get a chance to start that rehab process a bit earlier than scheduled. And depending on how fast he hits this rehab, how quick he hits this rehab, and how well his ankle takes to the rehab, there is a chance, there is a possibility there is an opportunity for Alabama to probably get Jaylen Waddle back in time for the college football playoff. I'm being told there is growing optimism within the program that Alabama could have Jaylen Waddle back on the roster, but back on the field in time for the college football playoff. And this is a big deal here, especially, this happens. You get an explosive weapon, an explosive playmaker back on the field to face teams like the Clemsons, the Ohio States, and others that will be, in the playoff. Now, for a lot of people, it's, Waddle, you don't got to do this. You don't got to go through all this. We know you good. We know you great. Man, go get that bag. Go to the NFL. Go get drafted. And I understand that. But there are some guys out there that just truly love the college football game. And maybe Waddle is one of those guys that just truly loves to play college football. His energy is on the same level as Tua. People really love the type of mentality that he brings to the table. He's gone through adversity his entire life. And with him not winning a national championship as of yet, if there's an opportunity for him to get back on the field and get a chance to take back what could have been stolen from him and win a national championship with this group, you better believe the training staff and Waddle is going through this right now. But the main two updates from the last 2 weeks, people, keep your eyes on Jase McClellan this week, and also Jaylen Waddle set to have the cast removed from his right leg this week as well. But we take our first break now on the show. Upon our return, we get into your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your questions, your concerns about Bama. We'll get to that after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
All right, Tide Nation, we are back into the action here, folks, on the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. After 2 weeks of rest, and Bama returns to the field inside Bryant-Denny Stadium this week to face Kentucky. This is In My Own Words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Go ahead right now, like the show up, give a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on all of those notifications so you can get the best in news, notes, and alerts here on your Crimson Tide. But before we go to the phone lines to take your calls, call segment is brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, the family that is the Blue Wrench Gang. We got a super chat to shout out here right now. And how about Willie351? Willie351 throwing in that $2 there via the super chats. Appreciate that from Willie351. And he writes in, this is for Jaylen. This is for Jaylen Waddle. So Willie351 showing that love for not just TDA, but also one Jaylen Waddle, which once again, I've been told this is the week he is scheduled to get the cast removed from his right leg. He's ahead of schedule in terms of that recovery process. Hopefully he can hit that rehab really hard and push to be back in time, hopefully, for the college football playoff. But now time for your phone calls, 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. We take a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? This is Robert from Mobile.
Hey, Robert, what's happening?
Hey, man, I tell you, we said Jaylen Waddle and possibly come back. Oh, man, that's got to be one of the best things for this season. to get them back in time for the playoffs. It'd be great for the SEC championship game. I have a feeling we definitely could use them for that game. But hey, we'll take the playoffs. Hey, I heard you talk about Mac Jones and the Steelers being a good fit for him a few weeks ago. I'm a Steelers fan, and I totally agree with you, dude. Mac Jones,
I think so. I think so.
Oh yeah, I mean, backing up Big Ben and learning from him and waiting for him to check out in a year or so. Mac Jones could fit right into it. Really, here's some of the ESPN analysts. Now they're talking about Florida's quarterback as Heisman front runner over Mac Jones. It's like, man, what does the guy have to do? He's got the same numbers as Florida's quarterback, but now you want to put him over Mac Jones. What's the guy got to do to get some love in this Heisman? What do you think, man?
I mean, if Alabama would have been able to play LSU, I would feel like Mac would have put up some numbers on that defense to really distance himself. Now, he's got a chance against Kentucky, and keep in mind, Kentucky was the program that Mac was close to committing to in 2017. Mark Stoops and that program flirted with, they courted Mac Jones hard. He almost became a part of Big Blue Nation, the football version, but he chose to come to Alabama because he wanted this competition. He wanted to be developed, and he's going to have a chance this weekend to kind of, put himself back and reaffirm himself as the number one guy in this Heisman conversation. The only area that Kyle Trask has on Mac Jones is touchdown to interception ratio. I mean, Kyle Trask, 28 touchdowns to 3 picks. Mac, 16 touchdowns to 2 picks. But in all other categories, I mean, Mac is beating him in all the other categories.
Mac would be right up there with him with touchdowns too. But we have the beast Najee Harris that has to be fed.
That's true. I mean, Najee's got – yes. Najee has to get the ball, and you got Brian Robinson who wants the ball, and then this week, keep your eyes on Jase McClellan because that young man's going to get the ball. And
if Najee wasn't on the team, when it come down the stretch, when you have to run the ball during that playoff and SEC championship game, that's where we're going to have the advantage over Florida because they won't be able to run the ball because they can't. They're a passing team. But at the end of the season, when it gets cold, when it gets teams are beat up, the run game starts to become more prevalent, and that's where it's going to matter. But okay, well, yeah, you guys can have them up. They can have them in the front, but they're going to meet in the SEC championship game, and then we'll see who's the best quarterback, who's the Heisman man.
Fair enough, right there, man. Robert, we appreciate the call. You take it easy, man.
I do.
Absolutely. You look at Mac Jones and Kyle Trask, both quarterbacks on a collision course for the SEC championship in Atlanta, and we'll find out there. But 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. But cool topic right now. Will Muschamp out at South Carolina? Done. After 5 seasons as a head coach. Was it 5? 5 seasons as a head coach from 2016 to this year. Will Muschamp out at South Carolina. No longer the head coach, was fired over the weekend. So now, the question becomes, is this the move right here? Is this the move for Nick Saban in terms of defensive analysts? Because, of course, Muschamp is expecting to get $15 million from South Carolina in the buyout. Now, if he doesn't want the $15 million, Alabama could bring him in as a defensive coordinator for future purposes. But if he does want the $15 million, and the only way you could bring him in is as a defensive analyst. And Muschamp, I know he can be a little bit crazy at times, a little bit unorthodox. They call him Coach Boom for a reason, but he brings a lot of experience to the table in terms of, he played safety in college at the University of Georgia from 1991 to 94. He's coached at a lot of the big programs. And for you as Alabama fans, as much as Pete Golding has improved and gotten better, the one cry you guys have had, can we get a grown-up in the room Can we get somebody who is experienced, who's veteran, who has done this at marquee programs that we know? Will Muschamp won a national championship with Nick Saban at LSU in 2003. Will Muschamp has been at Florida. He's been at Auburn. He's been at South Carolina. He's been at some of these big major programs that we all know. And yes, he was not the best head coach, we know. But if I said this once, I've said this multiple times. You have some coaches out there that were born head coaches. They came out the womb with a headset, a hat, a whistle, a clipboard, and a demeanor of, baby, I can run this mess. I can run this. You have some coaches that came out of the womb, head coaches. You have others that can't run the whole thing, but they can coordinate well. They're coordinators, whether it's offensive or defensive. And when you discuss, Charlie Strong wasn't the best head coach, but it was a darn great defensive coordinator. Now he's at Alabama as a defensive analyst. You look at Mike Stoops, kind of the same thing. Wasn't the best head coach, but a great coordinator. He's at Alabama as a defensive analyst. If Alabama can get Will Muschamp, now keep your eyes on these 4 teams. Keep your eyes on Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, and Ole Miss. Those 4 teams are going to go after Muschamp. Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, and Ole Miss. If Nick Saban, because Muschamp has not won a ring since he left Coach Saban, if Coach Saban can bring Muschamp back over here, could you imagine an arsenal of defensive analysts with Mike Stoops, Charlie Strong, Brett Biffida, who comes over from Florida State and Tennessee, and you put a Will Muschamp with that? All you're doing is telling Pete Golding, son, we believe in you. Are you not seeing all of this wealth of defensive minds we're surrounding you with? We believe in you. If Coach Saban is able to pull this out and get Will Muschamp to Alabama as a defensive analyst. Once again, wasn't the greatest head coach, but a tremendous defensive mind that Coach Saban can use and most definitely would like to get here to this program. But definitely want to get your thoughts on that, Tide fans, in the second call segment. Before we take our next break here, got a super chat to shout out. Roll Tide and Rise Up, donating that $10 there, helping us out at TDA. Appreciate that coming from Roll Tide and Rise Up. We take another break now on the show, but when we get back, we sit down with Josh Tolentino, who covers the Miami Dolphins for The Athletic. We're going to talk the performance of one Tua Tagovailoa and how he's got the Dolphins having the Hawaiian fever and getting closer to making the NFL playoffs. We talk Tua with Josh Tolentino after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
And we are back in, baby. We are back into the action here, folks. On a Monday, starting your work week and game week off correctly. Hottest show on the streets, number one forum for Alabama football news. That being in my own words, with yours truly, your man, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And after 2 bye weeks, Alabama gets back to football this weekend against Kentucky at Bryant-Denny Stadium. But before we go to the In My Own Words hotline and pick up my man Josh Tolentino, we got a super chat to shout out here. How about the pimp of the Blue Ridge Gang, Senator Hines, dropping in that $14.99 via the super chat. Senator Hines, appreciate that love there coming from him. But we move over now to the hotline where we pick up a heavy hitter right here. My good man, Josh Tolentino, who covers the Miami Dolphins for The Athletic. Josh, how you doing? How you feeling, man? Great to have you back.
Steven, man, doing well. It's obviously been an exciting time since we've last spoken when Tua was taken over as the starter. And while he hasn't really lit it up, I mean, you could argue that he did in Arizona. The team has done just enough to continue this win streak, and they've won, I think it's 5 in a row now. 5 in a row. Tua's 3-0 as a starter. This team is hot. They're 4 in a row, actually. They're 5-3, but, you're losing track of the wins, just, how many Tua is getting them. So it's been definitely a fun time in Miami for the Dolphins and Tua.
Absolutely. So Miami's got the Hawaiian fever right now, that being one, Tua Tagovailoa. The New York Knicks at one time had Lynn Sanity. The Toronto Raptors had, Vince Sanity. You had Tim Tebow had Tebow mania for the Jets, and now we got the Hawaiian fever here known as Tua. So Tua against the Chargers, going up against one of his peers in this draft class, Justin Herbert. But Tua, we saw the ability to move out of the pocket, to throw on the run, to be really, really accurate with the ball, to even make some busted plays look good. He even had a tackle in the game, showing you some defense that he's got right there. Just from being able to watch him on yesterday, what do you think is going through the mind of Brian Flores when you're watching him being Tua, get better each week, throwing on the run? The hip is looking even more polished and cleaner as he continues to progress, and he has the decision-making right now, not turn the football over. What's got to be going through Brian Flores' mind right now?
Yeah, we'll throw it back last week to Arizona. There was one play, Steven, that really stuck out. I mean, actually 2 of them, where Tua was able to scramble out of the pocket, really evade some pretty heavy pressure there, and he made those guys look foolish. I mean, he was running around like crazy. He was, he did this dead leg juke move on Budda Baker, one of the better defenders in the NFL, and this was the Tua that I think we all knew from Alabama that this is why the Dolphins were salivating when they drafted him 5th overall. They envisioned this product of Tua fully recovered from the injury to make his way back. It was actually a 1-year mark today from that hip injury. And really he's shown everything that they wanted. And, obviously they want the passing to a little bit more crisp, but that'll come with time. I think the positives right now are that he is definitely showing that he's completely healthy and that, the team is winning behind him and his leadership.
Now, I want to take you back here, Josh, to the throw that Tua makes to Devontae Parker at wide receiver. Now, there was a low snap on the play, and he's able to he kept his wits about him. He's able to gather the snap, gather the ball. He got his eyes back on field, and he fired a rope toward the sideline to Devontae Parker, who elevates and makes the catch there. Just talk about the presence of mind you are seeing from him in making these types of plays, knowing that, okay, we got a bad play, but I can spin it and I can make something positive out of it by getting the ball to Devontae Parker. Just kind of take me through that play as you watched it yesterday.
Yeah, actually, I'll take you to that first play, his very first passing play yesterday. It was a rollout to his natural left side. He wasn't under heavy pressure. He did have some time to throw, but again, he was on the run, running away from that edge that was just breaking. And it was really a second level type throw that we've all been waiting to see from Tua. We've seen him make decisions on the run. We've seen him throw the deep ball, the quick intermediate routes, but this was the second level type throw where he basically lobbed the ball over 3 defenders, 3 linebackers, or 2 linebackers rather, and a defensive back, and just got it right over their head and right to tight end Mike Gesicki for the first catch of the game. And it's like, man, this is what they all wanted, and this is the hype that was surrounding Tua. And Brian Flores, he wants to tame a lot of those conversations and expectations, but when Tua is making passes and like that, and some highlight plays like the runs that I mentioned, then it's just hard to do that because they really are wow type moments when Tua is on the field.
We are joined live via the phone lines right now, people. If you're just tuning in to In My Own Words on a Monday, we got Josh Tolentino, who covers the Miami Dolphins for The Athletic, talking 1-2 at Tagovailoa. So, Josh, going back to the bad center to quarterback exchange that happened, Miami is about to go up 21-0 here, if I'm not mistaken, and if the center doesn't get the ball up to Tua fast enough, there's a fumble on the play, most people would probably give up at that moment. But you saw Tua hawk a defender down and make the tackle, and actually showed pretty good form there on the tackle. So for a very good offensive skill player, we see he's learned a lot of defense coming from one head coach, Nick Saban. Talk about Tua's tackling ability there on that play. Josh, you there?
Yeah, Steven, hello? You guys got me?
Yeah, we got you back there. We got you back there. Now, the question was, talk about Tua's tackling ability there.
Yeah, before we get to the actual tackle itself, let's, play on words, tackle the fumble. I think this week the Dolphins would be wise to practice more snaps under center because those were two plays where, obviously – bad snaps there by center Ted Karras and Tua. Obviously, we see a lot of Tua in the shotgun and the pistol. Might not be that comfortable there taking direct snaps under center. So I'm sure that's going to be something that they continue to handle and address in practice this week. But in regards to that fumble and that chase down block, I joked with Tua. He said, I was like, did you have any DK Metcalf moments going in your head wanting to chase down and prevent the touchdown? Because you know what, Tua actually looked like the quickest guy on the field there when he was chasing that defender down who picked up that fumble. And I don't think Tua was credited with a solo tackle. Definitely
are you kidding me?
Tackle. Yeah, I mean, he slowed him down. I don't think he brought him down completely, but without Tua there on the field in that moment, maybe they do score. So that was a pretty big moment from Tua, although I think a lot of people in the stands were holding their breath.
Absolutely, because you never want to see, Tua do anything to get him hurt. Absolutely, but it was fun just being able to watch him run down the field, showing that yes, the hip definitely 100% good in him making a tackle there on the Chargers defender in question. Now, if you look at this crazy AFC playoff picture here, Josh, if the playoffs were to start today, the Dolphins would be in there as either the 5 seed or the 6 seed. So just talking about how there is a change of culture down here in Miami. Rick Ross has talked about it, among others who have talked about it. There's a change of culture here with this team, man. And how exciting is it really to have not just a quarterback in Tua, but now a team with him that you guys are on the door of making the playoffs and possibly getting a strong seeding here in this postseason should the Dolphins continue to win?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Rick Ross. He's almost turned into a automatic weekly type figure on Sundays. It's like you got to check out Instagram because Rick Ross is always going to have something to say about the Dolphins and Tua. And Tua obviously shares Rick Ross's post to his story every week. So it's been definitely an exciting time, not just with Rick Ross, but so many different figures. Udonis Haslem, Dwayne Wade, obviously Dan Marino, one of Tua's mentors right now, that all of these figures across the South Florida region are pretty excited for this team. And you look forward, Steven, it's going to get pretty interesting here down in Miami. They've got 3 subpar opponents coming up. They've got the Broncos, the winless Jets after that, and then the Bengals at home. They really definitely have a chance here to pad their wins and move forward with a pretty good record heading into December. So, and that's when the conversation about playoffs really starts to ramp up. So, but again, I think what's gotten them this far is Flores preaches that one day at a time, one practice at a time mentality, and I think that continues forward this week as they get ready to head to Denver.
He is Josh Tolentino, ladies and gentlemen, covering the Miami Dolphins for The Athletic, graciously joining us live here on a Monday to recap and break down the performance that was Tua Tagovailoa over the weekend. The Dolphins getting the 29-21 win over those L.A. Chargers. Josh, appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for your time, man. We'll chat with you soon, man. Have a great one.
Steven, the last time we talked, Tua was he was 0-0 or 0-0, and now we talk again and he's 3-0. So who knows? Maybe next time he's 6-0 in the starter. But definitely always a pleasure to catch up, and we'll continue to talk more Tua, man.
Absolutely. Josh Tolentino of The Athletic joining us live here covering the Miami Dolphins, talking one Tua Tagovailoa. And Tua, I'm telling you, South Florida is happy right now. South Florida is really excited right now. And if this group can make the playoffs, somebody go get Dan Marino, because he's going to be probably drinking somewhere on South Beach if Miami makes the playoffs with the rate that it's going as of right now. But we take another break here on the show, but upon our return, we get back to you, the Alabama Crimson Tide fans. We'll take your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your super chats. We will have a dialogue with you, the fans, right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace. T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are rocking and rolling now, folks. Back in from the break on the number one forum for Alabama football news, In My Own Words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we get back to the phone lines, the call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, the family that is the Blue Wrench Gang. We got some super chats to shout out right now. How about the Bama Bros, Ricky Green and the Bama Bros donating that $10 there via the super chats. Appreciate that love there coming from my man Ricky Green, and Richard G donating that $5 there via the super chats. We appreciate Richard G, and Bama Bros, my man Ricky Green and the family donating that $10 there, showing us some love. But 205-448-1358, number to call in to voice your opinions on the show. 205-448-1358. We got some calls in the queue right now. We take a call right now, and I believe this is my man, Senator Hines. Senator, brother, what's going on? You're on the show.
You already know who it is, bro. What's good, man?
Doing fine, man. After 2 bye weeks, Bama football gets back onto Bryant-Denny Stadium this week to face Kentucky. Happy about it right now. Very, very happy to get some football back in here.
And I'm out here like a fiend waiting for some Alabama football, man. I'm telling you, boy, it was rough last weekend trying to watch all these boring games, man. I'm just up. I played so much Call of Duty Saturday. It's ridiculous, man. I'm ready to watch
Call of Duty, but I was playing Halo 3.
See, and that's how it happened. And I had the games on, but they couldn't catch my attention, man. It was a bunch of it was worse than middle school football. Some of those games were.
Not middle school, Senator. Not middle school. No.
Man, it was bad, man. I love watching the kids play middle school ball, but when you got athletes that we on another level, y'all out here. I mean, it was one game. I want to say the Virginia Tech Miami game. That was a pretty decent one, but you just look at them, man. You just don't see how passing the eye test is even mentioned when you talk about some of those teams. Like, none of them could match the top 3 teams in the nation right now, being in Alabama, Clemson, and Notre Dame, and 4 if you include Ohio State. So it kind of was like no excitement for real. It was good to see Florida get some more film on them, being that we're going to see them SEC championship games, and they don't look bad on the offense. That defense, they're going to have to be able to stop the run when they see us. But man, it just feels good to be prepping for another week, praying everything goes well. Nothing crazy happens for Saturday. No cancellations. But I want to weigh in on the Will Muschamp situation, if you didn't mind.
Go ahead.
So, and you know me, man, I was at the beginning of the season, I was one of the ones, that was, hey, give Pete Golden a chance. He's surrounded by a wealth of knowledge and talent when it comes to defensive minds in college football. I think this gives us more of a reason to believe they're trying to keep Pete Golden there if they start having talks with Will Muschamp. And I mean serious talks. Will Muschamp want to come on as an analyst? Because I still think there are teams out there that would take him as a head coach or even give him a high-paid DC coordinator, a DC position. But the thing is, would he mind taking that break and just being an analyst and giving himself a chance to get something good as a bullet on his resume? And if he's one of those coaches that's fine with that, because Charlie Strong, he could have went to FCS school, smaller school, and been a head coach and, had that stress and struggle, whatever. But I think he looked at the value of being able to be on the Saban coach staff. And even if we only have him for another year or so, I believe Strong will be promoted next year. And if we bring Muschamp on, I could see an assistant DC or assistant linebacker coach, something position-wise where he's engaged with the players on the defensive side. And that will help us tremendously. And Pete Golden should be one of the ones that, instead of recruiting players right now, he should be going to recruit Will Muschamp. Hey, man, come over here, join the defensive mind team. We can definitely use you because we all know Muschamp has done a decent job with subpar talent for the past 4 to 5 years, and his defense was the one that caused the upset against Georgia last year. So I really think it'll be a good thing for us, man. I agree with everything you said, especially with surrounding Pete Golden with just so much knowledge and experience. I think, like you said, Saban is prepping the way for him to just take over because once Saban leaves, there's going to be a crazy coaching carousel going on when Saban drops the position at Alabama, knowing he's going to leave behind a wealth of talent. So I think it'll be a good thing for us, man.
I would not mind having Muschamp. I wouldn't mind having Muschamp. Let's see what happens. There's going to be a lot of calls being made, but we'll check that out. We'll see what happens. But Senator, as always, man, thanks for dropping by and giving a great call on a Monday.
You already know, man. And roll tide to the chat. Blue Bench Gang, stand up. We a family. All TDA fans, appreciate all the support. Much love. And y'all be blessed.
Absolutely. Senator Hines starting us off great here on a Monday. We take another call right now. You are live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, Steven. How you doing?
Doing good. And yourself?
Good. Thank you for taking my call. Hey, who's going to take over for Saban, Mario Cristobal or Sarkisian?
This has been a question that's been thrown at me a lot here lately. I mean, I like both of them.
Did you see that Oregon defense?
I'm
telling you, bad intentions.
I'm telling you, Cristobal has come in there and has really changed the entire structure of that program. And I love what he's done. And I would like to see Cristobal get that shot here. I would like to see Cristobal get that shot here with Alabama. But at the same time, seeing the growth of Sark, all he has been through in his personal life and his professional life, and to see how it's all kind of come full circle and how he's learned from that and how he has genuinely appreciated what Saban has done for him, I would like to see Sark get it.
Right. Well, that wasn't a lateral move he made from the Falcons to the offensive coordinator at Alabama. I think Saban might have told him, because that was when Saban's hip was hurt. I think Saban might have told him, if you come, I'm going to give it to you.
That probably could have been a conversation. I wouldn't put it past it. That probably could have been a conversation. But then at the same time, we all know even when Saban had the hip incident, he's still out there moving like he's 48 years old. So
yeah,
he
was feeling bad and had a lot of downtime to think about his future. You know, he didn't have a million things going on like every day before. I just thought that might be something that he called Sark because it wasn't a lateral move.
No, it wasn't.
It was
absolutely not.
Downward move. And there was a reason for that.
Absolutely. So there could have been a situation where Saban could have called Sark and said, look, man, I'm 68, 69 years old. At some point, it's going to stop on me coaching. Come on over here and I can groom you to take over for when I decide to call it a career. But, man, we appreciate the call, man. Keep listening to us.
Thank you so much, Stephen. You and Justin do a good job. Roll Tide.
Appreciate the love they're coming on that call right there. Before we take another call, we got another super chat, one from Richard G again. Richard G donating that $5 via the super chats. Appreciate that coming from Richard G. But we go to another call right now in the queue. You are live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's up, Stephen M? This is Ricky Green from Tide Talk Sports. How you doing this evening?
Ricky, what's going on, dude?
Not a whole lot, just hanging out with your people down in the chat. Hit you with that little super chat. Look, Stephen, you and I talked earlier today on the phone and had a little conversation about it yesterday. We got to talk about Jaylen Waddle for just a minute and what a big revelation that is about him being ahead of schedule and possibly being able to return for the college football playoffs.
It's a big deal, and the reason why it's a big deal, I know so many people talk about, well, if I was Waddle, I wouldn't go through with it. I would put myself toward the NFL draft. I wouldn't put myself through all of the stress, and I get that. But there's just so many young kids out there that really love college football. They really love it. They really enjoy it. It's the pageantry of the game. You look at a Damian Harris who could have went pro after his junior year. He came back for his senior year because he loves the college game. Devontae Smith could have went pro after last year. He chose to come back. Why? Loves the college game. Even one Kenyon Drake who had the same injury that a Jaylen Waddle had, and everybody told Kenyon, let it go. Stop that mess, man. Don't do this to yourself. Kenyon Drake comes back. Even with the shoulder injury he had in his senior year in 2015, he had a magnificent college football playoff, including the 96-yard kick return for a touchdown against Clemson in the title game. So you have a lot of kids out there that really love college football. I have a great relationship with my dad. My dad and I, we talk a lot. Now, there are a lot of things that I don't agree with my father on. One of those things, my dad's an Auburn fan. I don't know how that happened. But aside from that, my dad and I are two close individuals, and he talked a lot about how, though the NFL is cool, he loves college football. He said college football is where it's at. The players play for the love of the game. And when I look at Waddle, as much as people would like to see him just go pro, I feel like he wants a national championship. He wants to be a part of this team. And I feel like with the team doctors and the team trainers telling him, hey, you're ahead of schedule, this cast is expected to come off this week, you got to be thinking it's going through his mind. If I can hit this rehab and I can get back strong, I got a shot to be back out here with my brothers. I want to take that shot.
No doubt. Me as a father, if Andrew were in this situation, I would definitely look at it both ways. So I get the argument that he needs to protect his investment and get ready for the NFL. I get it. But sometimes as a competitor, not coming back if you can is just not an option. So
I can see it. Absolutely, definitely. Well, we're going to continue to chart this progress here of one Jaylen Waddle, and hopefully, prayerfully, he hits this rehab, he attacks it vigorously, he attacks it strongly, and finds a way to get back to Alabama or get back on the field in time, hopefully, for the college football playoff. Ricky, man, we appreciate the call. Keep listening to us.
No doubt about it. Looking forward to seeing Mac Jones get back out in front of that Heisman race this Saturday.
Absolutely. Ricky Green, they're giving us a great call there. We got some super chats to shout out right now. Jimmy Clay is back, y'all. Jimmy Clay donating that $5 with the super chats. Appreciate that from Jimmy Clay. And is that Richard G again? I think it is. Richard G again. That $5 coming from him. And Senator Hines, Senator, dropping in that $4.99 via the super chats. You guys are coming in, showing us the love right now, not only with the super chats, but also on the phone lines as we take another call. And this is Waylon. Waylon, man, you're live on the show. What's going on?
Oh, boy. We've got Will Muschamp on the run. Uh-oh, he's coming back. I can feel it. Charlie Strong's not going to step up, Stephen, and take that defensive job position. You and I know that just as well as any sports writer, any Paul Feinbaum show, or anybody in the country. If Charlie would have stepped up, he would have forced Saban to have put Pete out and gave him that job. That's how much stroke Charlie's got. He'll be gone. Does Will Muschamp come to Alabama? Would be a plus for Alabama if he does. As far as I'm concerned,
yeah.
Will. Go ahead.
I was saying it would be because of the fact that look at all the experience Muschamp has. He's got you defensive back experience. He's got your linebacker experience, inside linebacker experience. He's got defensive coordinator experience. He's got head coach experience. Not to mention, Coach Saban really loves and values Muschamp because the two won a national title together in 2003 at LSU.
Absolutely. John and I talked about this on Facebook. We've discussed it, and I hope John's eyes is okay after Friday. Has he still got the glasses? His sunglasses on or off?
They're off today. They are off today. John is in here, no sunglasses today.
Good. All right. Sounds good, John, anyway. But anyway, I don't know. I think Charlie would have forced, I really do. I think he would have forced Nick's hand to gave him that job if he'd have wanted it. I don't know where he will go from here. He's got a lot of experience, and he can go to another college. But anyway, we'll see whatever happens. And, Will Muschamp will light those boys up. He's still got a little fire in the basement.
I mean,
he'll get out there.
There are still weighing a lot of juice left in that orange that is Will Muschamp. He's young, only 49 years old, can still get up and down that field. So there's a lot of juice still left in that orange.
That's it. There's a lot of juice left in the orange. Waddle, best thing he can do is go get him some back pocket money in the NFL. I don't blame him at all. Go on to get the money, get it while you're young, when you're healthy. Go on, and who's going to take Nick Saban's place? That's a question we'll never answer because I don't feel there's anybody left that goes back to Coach Bryant's legacy. Coach Battle's gone. Mal Moore's gone. Paul Bear Bryant Jr., he don't have anything to do with it anymore. So we'll never know, Stephen. But anyway, we got to get off here. We're working on a little COVID poem for Wednesday, maybe Friday. We'll see how it goes. Everybody in the chat, hello. I see everybody looking good. Great show. John, put your glasses on if you need to. Stephen, you're looking good Friday. Get in there, boy, and make it shine like a new dime. All right, I got to get out of here. I'll see y'all later in the week. Y'all have a blessed week. Bye-bye, Stephen.
Appreciate the love there coming from weighing in here, calling into the show. Another super chat from Richard G on the $5 coming. Richard G is trying to get into the Blue Wrench gang. Richard G is trying to get in here. Another $5 coming there from Richard G. Appreciate him, but kind of a quick call segment here before the next break. Mac Jones and Kyle Trask. Jones, the Alabama quarterback, Trask, the Florida quarterback, both neck and neck here going at each other for the Heisman Trophy. And with both teams and both quarterbacks on a collision course for the SEC championship game, it just looks like the title game in Atlanta will decide the Heisman winner, because after Trask after his second 6-touchdown performance against Arkansas over the weekend, you got a lot of Florida Gator fans, alumni members, media pundits, and even odds makers out there looking at Trask as the Heisman favorite at this point. Now, aside from The touchdown interception ratio, Trask, 28 touchdown passes, 3 picks. Mac Jones, 16 touchdown passes, just 2 interceptions. Mac actually leads over Trask in every other major statistical category. And in terms of team categories, Mac has Alabama doing things offensively a little bit better than what Trask has for the Gators. But once again, as you guys have mentioned, if they want to keep Trask ahead of Jones for right now, hey, let them do it, because that allows the SEC championship game to be a winner-take-all matchup, and I'm just perfectly fine with that. But we take a break here now on the show. Upon our return, we dive into Mac Jones. He is grabbing attention of NFL pundits. The two biggest NFL draft experts out there both now have him as a first rounder. What does this mean for Mac Jones moving forward? We talk Jones and the attention he's getting from NFL draft pundits after this.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama. If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, people, we are back in from the break to the action on the hottest show on the streets, number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciating everybody for checking out the show on today. The phone calls, the tweets, the chats. You guys have been amazing to start this week, as it's game week for the Crimson Tide, work week for you guys prior to this weekend's matchup between Alabama and Kentucky. Before we jump into the final topic of conversation, got another super chat to shout out here right now, and it's Senador again. Senador once more, $5 there via the super chat, donating that to TDA. Appreciate Senator Hines showing us that love there. Also, be sure to check out TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. Make us your plug, your one-stop shop for all of your Alabama football clothing, apparel needs. If you like the I Love Hearing Touchdown Alabama shirts, the Let Them Play shirts, We Want Football shirts, hoodies of all kinds, we got you right here. TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. Come to us. No, come shop with us right now, showing your support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But we get into one. Mac Jones and how NFL draft pundits they're big on him now. They are big on him now. Jones has got a lot of attention on him right now. And two of the most respected draft experts in the game, Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr., both of ESPN, both gentlemen have Jones as a first rounder. Now, Todd McShay on his big board has Jones listed number 28 overall, the number 5 quarterback taken in the first round. Kiper has a little bit more high esteem there on Jones. He's got him in the top 25 at number 24 overall, still the number 5 quarterback taken on his board. So for Mac to go from being overlooked, doubted, People thinking he could not orchestrate, he could not run, he could not dissect or operate this offense to. He is trending everywhere. Like Mac Jones is trending on Twitter. You've got pro scouts talking about him. You got NFL draft experts talking about him. Everybody's speaking on him. You got Alabama fans that doubted him going, I was wrong. Like, Mac Jones is out here killing it. He's out here dominating. He's out there playing big football. He's out there having major success out there, on the field. And even one, Miller Forrestall, got a chance to speak with him today in player interviews. And Forrestall talked about how, one of the questions directed to Forrestall was, from the outside looking in, what did a lot of media pundits and people, from the outside looking in, what did they get wrong about Mac that you guys saw out there, on the field? And, Forrestall basically said, well, for starters, a lot of people, when they looked at Mac, they saw this skinny white guy from Jacksonville, Florida. He didn't come in with a big name. He didn't come in with a lot of attention, so you immediately cast him to the side. But the work ethic that Mac has, he's an elite passer, and as good as Bryce Young is, and Bryce is going to be great. Bryce is going to be phenomenal. He's going to be fantastic. Mac Jones, people just don't understand the amount of work he puts in to be the type of player that he is, and that comes from one Miller Forrestall today in player interviews, just talking about the maturation and the transformation and the development that has been one Mac Jones. So both Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr. both have him going in the first round of this draft, number 5 quarterback on the board. Now, the only knock that Kiper has in terms of Jones is not enough starts as a quarterback in college football right now. For most NFL teams, coaches, GMs, personnel out there, they would like for their starting quarterbacks to have at least 30-plus starts in college football. At least, 30 or more, showing that you've got that experience all the way around as, a starter in college football. Now, for Mac, he's got 10 starts right now, 4 last year, 6 so far this year. If Alabama is able to play LSU and he wanted to end his tenure just after the season, should Alabama make the college football playoff, Mac would have 17 starts under his belt. Now, 17 starts is good, but it's not the 30-plus that a lot of these scouts and personnel people are looking for. And when you don't have just a whole bunch of starts on your belt as a quarterback, people tend to want to talk you down in the NFL draft. Now, of course, for you out there as fans, you guys always like to talk about how, well, if teams talk you down, that's good. That's great. You go to a better team, you go to a better situation, you go to a better front office, you go to a better organization if you're talked down in the draft. But now you're starting to see even more fans go, well, don't talk the player down, because if you talk them down, they're not going to get the guaranteed money. And guaranteed money is a big thing now in the NFL. That's what a lot of players are fighting for. More guaranteed money in the contracts. That's what the new CBA is looking at, trying to figure out how can we get more guaranteed money in rookie contracts, more guaranteed money in free agent deals, more guaranteed money in terms of players in general. So while it would be a pro to get talked down because you would go to a better organization, it's a con when you're talking about if you get talked down, you're not going to receive the guaranteed money that you would like to get. So while I would not mind seeing, Jones come back for a senior year just to get those starts built up, for you as a fan, put yourself in Mac Jones' shoes here for just a moment here. What would be the better option? Because like I mentioned, right now, everybody's talking about him. Twitter's talking about him. Rival fans are talking about him. U.S. Bama fans are talking about him. All types of national media talking about him. Draft scouts are talking about him. He's in the thick of the Heisman race. He's up for numerous postseason individual awards. So his name is out there. His name is out there big. Would you, as a fan, if you're Mac Jones, would you strike now while the iron is hot? Would you cash out and go pro, even with not having a lot of starts under your belt? Or would you choose to risk all of that and come back to Alabama for a senior year, for another year to work with Coach Saban, another year to work with Steve Sarkisian? You're going to have, some really talented running backs, Trey Sanders, Jase McClellan, Roydell Williams, Keegan Robinson would be back. You would have another year working with the likes of John Mechie and Slade Bolden and Javon Baker among incoming freshman talents at wide receiver. You would have some great tight ends to work with. The defense would be a lot better on the offensive line. You would at least have Emil Ekiyor Jr. and Evan Neal back as starters. You would have Will Reichert as the field goal kicker, especially with how well he's done this year. So what would you do as an Alabama fan if you were in Mac's shoes? Because you got pros and cons both ways, right? Because if he would choose to come back, then you would look at the possibility of, do you lose Bryce Young to a transfer? Because he's not going to want to sit the bench a second year in a row. Would you lose a Paul Tyson to a transfer? Would you lose a Jalen Milroe? Would he flip out of this, current signing class and go elsewhere? So that there's a lot of pros and cons here. But if you were an Alabama fan, would you strike while the iron is hot with everybody talking about you, with Mel Kiper's got you as a first rounder, Todd McShay's got you as a first rounder? Would you cash out now once the season ends and go to the draft if you were in Mac Jones's shoes? Or would you come back another year, risk everything to get more starts, and have an opportunity to maybe even compete for another national championship should Alabama win the national title this year? Just a lot to think about when you discuss Mac Jones and all the different scenarios here being put in place. But as always, Tide fans, if you want the best news, notes, information, and coverage on your Crimson Tide, it's very simple and easy to get this. You can access it by downloading the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can get it from your iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone for your audio listening needs. We got you right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Wednesday continuing the coverage that is Tide football. As always, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description, and also get you that 4-finger bling necklace courtesy of WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That link will be in the description as well. But husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, school is in. Do those things legitimately now to not be bored. Be sure, as always, to get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. And until next time, folks, spit in my own words.